Helping my brother leave his bride at the altar because she invited our estranged mother. A family drama unfolds with surprising twists. We are 34, 32, and 28, while his ex-fiancée is 30. Not in the US. I have two older brothers. This is about the middle one. Our parents split when I was quite young, owing to our mother's irrational jealousy. My father was able to deal with it at first, but when she made comments about wanting me to be like his wife, he had had enough. She quickly reconnected with a man with 2 children and shared custody for a period. But when my father remarried, she went insane, calling his new wife every awful term and claiming he had cheated on her while they were married. I was always closer to my brothers and father than my mother, who was always harsh to me. Long story short, my stepmother died in a horrific car accident and my father contacted her in the middle of the night to tell her he would pick us up earlier so we could attend the burial. She chose to take us on a nice trip instead to commemorate something. It was the happiest we had ever seen her, and when we understood what had happened and began crying, she informed us that only useless people cry for prostitutes. Needless to say, things escalated, and my father requested full custody with visitation privileges for her. He always kept the lines of communication open and paid for us to see her after she moved away, but it was still really unpleasant. We began reducing contact with her as soon as we turned 18. We last saw her at my high school graduation, where she made it a point to tell everyone that we were ungrateful kids, and her husband also called us names. We have remained no contact, NC, since then. My brother Sam began dating his ex 3 years ago. She had heard all of the stories and reasons we were NC, but she thought we were being theatrical. They had many disagreements because of her ideas, but she ultimately appeared to abandon the "you need to reconcile with your mother" crusade. Throughout the wedding preparation process, there was no sign that anything was incorrect or suspicious. Then, on the wedding day, we arrived at the church and saw our mother, her husband, and 2 children sitting in the front row. I instantly panicked and contacted my brothers. Sam suspected she had found out and wanted to crash the wedding, so he called his ex to tell her of the potential turmoil. She assured him that everything was fine because she had invited them. Sam hung up and asked me to go fetch him while our older brother handled things at the church. We went home and barricaded ourselves, even while his ex, her family, friends, and others attempted to reason with him. Mom's spouse even called to say he had always known we were useless. Now that the dust has settled, the majority of Sam's friends and family support him. Our father's ex-in-laws have already threatened to sue for the money they paid for the wedding if Sam does not marry her, but Sam says he would rather repay them than marry someone who has betrayed him. Our nuclear family wholeheartedly supports Sam, but the blowback has been massive. Edit. You just reassured us all, so thank you. Some have asked, and she hasn't apologized. She also texted my oldest brother Joe, saying she felt inviting our mother would be a nice wedding gift for Sam because she values family. My father purchased them a house as a wedding present, but only Sam is on the paperwork. She had keys for when they moved in, but we only got the locks changed today. Joe and other cousins are relocating Sam's belongings from her apartment this week. We aren't concerned about being sued, but we will consult a lawyer just in case. We also learned that Mom and her family are still in town, but because we're all staying at our childhood home for a few days, we don't mind. My father is saddened that Sam is heartbroken, but he is doing his best to cheer him up, along with my boyfriend and sister-in-law. I had to deactivate my social media accounts because I was receiving abusive remarks and messages, but the more people hear about why Sam fled, the less messages I receive. I am still sorry that she was humiliated, but my brother comes first. Edit 2. I questioned Joe about the aftermath at the church, and it was precisely what I imagined. He claims he stood up in front of everyone and informed them Sam wasn't coming and that they should go home. All presents delivered to our side of the family will be promptly returned. The ex was still outside the church when someone from her family notified her. And she began yelling and wailing, constantly contacting Sam. Mom tried to speak with Joe, but he didn't even glance at her. When she couldn't obtain a reaction from him, she burst into tears, lamenting how cruel we are to her. Some people began to console her, as is customary for her, but Joe and his wife were unconcerned. When they left the church, the ex was waiting for them and demanded to see Sam. Joe resisted, telling her no. Then she wanted to know what to do about the party, to which Joe said that if she didn't want the venue, he would arrange for the food to be distributed to the workers so that it didn't go to waste. Everyone was shouting except Joe, who kept calm since he didn't want to satisfy Mom. Joe and my sister-in-law returned home after stopping at the store and various fast food restaurants, and we've been inside the house like kids again, with a few more members. When we asked Sam if he wanted them to leave, he insisted on staying. We had all planned to spend time with our families following the wedding, so it was not an issue. When the ex arrived at the gate, we understood she was not going to use the venue, so my sister-in-law called the venue with Sam's information and asked them to give the food. She also sent some advice for their problems. It appears that we will receive all of the alcohol that my father paid for, so we will be pretty drunk by the end of the year. A few people messaged me, asking why our father ever married our mother. The answer is simple: he adored her and felt she was the nicest person imaginable. It turned out she wasn't, but she knew no one else, except possibly her unpleasant husband, would marry her unless she seemed to be kind. Dad even considered staying with her until we were grown-ups, but her condition worsened. She used to be really sweet, and he thought she was changing, but she would then revert back. As for my ex-sister-in-law, we have no doubt she feels our mother is a nice person with ungrateful children since she can be incredibly charming. Some individuals find it amusing to make fun of others as long as it is not directed at them, but this does not excuse what she did. Sam's only explanation was to his boss, who attended the wedding. His boss was quite kind and surprised by what our mother put us through, given how well adjusted and happy we appear. Our father stated it was a shock for all of us, and he told Sam to stay home for as long as he needed. Sam is returning home for the time being. I showed the post to my family, who were affected by your thoughtfulness. Sam wants you to know that his ex-fiancée did not exhibit any alarming behaviors, and he honestly believes she understood his upbringing. He agreed to meet with her and her parents today, but only if it was at our house, where we could support him. It will be an interesting visit. Update. Sam lost some money, but it will not affect him. Her parents paid for her outfit, a very beautiful cake and a portion of the honeymoon. His ex wasn't the most popular in-law, but we believe she adored Sam. We don't have any touch with Mom's side. Joe used to communicate with our grandmother, but after his wedding, another disaster, he cut her off too. Mom's statements about me wanting to be the wife stemmed from her idea that we shouldn't have daddy-daughter days. However, there were also Daddy Joe and Daddy Sam days. Dad constantly attempted to spend time with us, both individually and as a group. She's just unwell. We don't advertise our childhood, so when others inquire about our parents, the typical response is, "It's just my dad." Or "It's just my siblings and my dad." Most people assume Mom is deceased, avoiding the unpleasant question about why we don't speak to her. Mom's stepchildren are both male and in their early 30s. Our father now has a long-term girlfriend, and we really enjoy her. She's been doing her own thing over the last 3 days, but she says we have her full support. The update. I was curious why Sam agreed to the meeting after not speaking with her, but it turns out she sent videos and images of all his possessions on the floor to his best buddy, Tom, and threatened to burn or destroy everything unless Sam spoke with her. Tom went to see Sam and told him what had transpired. They advised her that they needed entry to the flat before anything could happen. Tom, Joe, a few cousins, and my boyfriend went over to pack Sam's clothes, devices, and crucial documentation. Sam joked that they were the fastest moving staff he'd ever witnessed. The meeting, for lack of a better term, was absurd. She arrived with her parents and sisters and attempted to speak to Sam alone, but when he refused, she simply began chatting. Not once did she apologize. She stated it was not her fault that we don't appreciate the value of a true family and were trained to despise mothers. She stated that her main purpose was to teach Sam to value mothers because she was terrified he would take her children from her, as he had been taught to do. Sam said nothing until she called our family a cult and humiliated our father. As you might expect, this is a sore subject for all of us, and we won't let anyone insult our father. Sam went off on her, calling her a disgusting liar, stating he was horrified that he had ever held her hand, and thanking the world that I am always early to everything. He informed her that sticking with a dishonest husband, like her mother did, is not anything to be proud of. He claimed she had merely pretended to be kind so that he would marry her. He then detailed all of the small faults he had overlooked because he sincerely loved her, or at least who he believed she was. Sam stated that he would never forgive her for the suffering she caused his siblings, but he did not hate her because she did not deserve so much of his attention. He concluded by saying she had had enough time to straighten things up and that because she acted like the victim, he would make sure everyone understood why he didn't attend the wedding. It was horrible, but it was therapeutic and important for Sam. Her parents said nothing but were clearly embarrassed. She cried, and her sisters attempted to defend her in their parents' relationship, expecting us to argue back, but we did not. Sam then told his ex-fiancée's father, Phil, that he could sue if he wanted, but that doing so would expose all of his family's dirty laundry to the world, which he doubted Phil would want to see. Amazingly, Phil continued to urge that Sam should try to make amends and marry his ex since they're not getting any younger, and all families fight. I have never rolled my eyes harder. The remainder of the meeting was spent on logistics, returning wedding gifts, ceasing harassment from their relatives, canceling the honeymoon, and changing the locks. Sam's ex was crying and attempting to talk to him, but Sam was all business and didn't want anything from her. He only answered directly when she mentioned keeping the engagement ring, even though no one had requested it. Later, when the booze arrived, our mother and husband crept through the gate when it opened. She said she just wanted to talk to her baby boys. My father requested her to go, but she insisted that he had raised us incorrectly and that we had embarrassed her with our actions. She couldn't believe we were such bad people, and suggested we make amends with her because we clearly lacked maternal love. She got it right, and the outcome was pathetic. Joe walked outside and ordered her to go since the cops were on their way. She took advantage of the chance to cry because it was Joe's first conversation with her in roughly 10 years. She tried to persuade him to join her and her husband for dinner, but Joe simply urged her to go and stated that the only thing he wanted to hear about her was when her burial was, so he could rejoice. Mom cried hysterically, while her husband screamed, demanding an explanation and even threatening to strike Joe. My father and Joe went back inside and left them at the gate until we noticed they had finally left. Then we closed the gate. Some people struggle to comprehend why we behave the way we do, yet what I've said about our mother is only the tip of the iceberg. Dad wasn't very proud of what Joe said, but he saw that Joe needed to express himself and was speaking on behalf of all of us. Maybe this makes us awful people, but we really don't want to see her again. We will all have family therapy sessions in addition to individual ones. Sam no longer wants the house, but Dad advises him to take things slowly, with the first step being to mend his heart. We've been watching horror movie marathons, with a few Disney oldies thrown in, and we've even created a drama bingo game with all of the possible outcomes. I suppose we are dramatic after all. We love each other and we're educated to treat others with respect, yet when pushed, we can be petty. While I would never wish to be abandoned at the altar, I would do it again because I adore my brother more than I feel sorry for her. We'll go on a family trip someday, but for now, we'll just enjoy spending time together. To the individual who said Joe is a hero, his siblings could not have asked for a greater brother and friend. We have read all of your letters and would like to thank everyone for allowing us to vent, for the awards, and for their support. Sorry if my English isn't great. Joe and Sam are clearly fictitious names, but I hope you understand. Also, my brothers are reading your remarks and want you to know how much they appreciate your positive attitude. To anyone in a similar circumstance, know that things will get better. Update 2. Some clarifications. You're welcome to PM us, even if you are insulting us, but I will only answer publicly. To the individual who wrote me a harsh essay accusing Joe of being parentified, here's my response. My brothers spent time with me because they wanted to. We had special days together, and they did anything they pleased. They had a large circle of friends and traveled both with and without me. There were nannies, family members, and my father, so they were never obliged to bring me along. They enjoyed a great deal of freedom, within reason. Our parents split when I was 3, and despite shared custody, we spent 90% of our time with Dad. We only went to see our mother in pairs. Joe and Sam only paid her visits once she turned 18, and I had to accompany them because they didn't want me alone. We've all been in therapy for a while, but now we're having extra sessions because we saw our mother again. Joe was the only one to interact with her. We also know how to defend ourselves. Joe confronted our mother on his own. We did not ask him to do so. Why didn't my dad accompany Joe to church? Because Sam begged our father to go home, we didn't think he needed to visit our mother again, even though he had to speak with her later. Sam has cried. He is not a monster. He is simply heartbroken. He believed he could spend the rest of his life with Daniela, that he was a good judge of character, and that he would never have to face our mother again. There are many emotions, but because of our upbringing, we've gotten quite skilled at controlling our feelings with people we don't trust or like. We learned this survival ability as a result of how we were treated. Joe had a relationship with our grandma, but he stopped communicating with her after she invited our mother to his wedding as her +1. The location did not host any religious ceremonies, and security had a no-entry list. Joe sent grandma a note and never spoke with her again. We also did not attend her funeral. The wedding had roughly 250 attendees, and Daniela used different names on the seating chart, so we didn't know about the invitation. By the way, Daniela is not Brazilian, and my father wanted me to let you know that his children are not alcoholics. He's worried that people will believe we are, even though this is anonymous, LOL. Anyway, this week has been crazy. Those who advised being prepared for the pregnancy technique were right on. She announced online that she was pregnant, leading others to stress out and phone Sam to see whether it was true. Sam called her and urged her to remove the post, but she kept insisting she was pregnant. He told her they needed to talk, so she erased the post and met up with him. This woman assumed he wanted her back. I accompanied Sam to meet her. She was joyful until she saw me enter the room, at which point she burst into tears and clutched her tummy. Sam questioned her whether she was truly pregnant, and she responded yes, claiming she did not want her child to grow up in a shattered home. Sam insisted on going to the doctor right away to confirm, and she cried even more, yelling that he didn't believe her. Long story short, she was not pregnant. However, following the encounter, she claimed online that Sam was pressuring her to have an abortion and that she was upset. As you may guess, this was terrible, and people were phoning Sam, unsure what to trust anymore. When my sister-in-law, Anna, learned about the posts, she called Daniela. I am not sure what was stated during that chat, but I have never seen Anna so upset. The posts were removed, but Anna sent an email to everyone on the wedding list explaining everything, including the fact that Daniela was never pregnant. This morning, we learned that Daniela had a breakdown and left voicemails for Sam stating that if she couldn't be with him, she wanted to die. This is straight out of our mother's playbook, so Sam called the cops and reported what had occurred. Her family put her into therapy, and she is currently being monitored. None of this makes us happy, but we don't want to be involved anymore. We've already changed our phone numbers and requested new ones. Our mother even emailed Anna, threatening to sue her for defamation over the email campaign, but we aren't worried. Anna's parents are wonderful and fully back how she handled the situation. Joe was upset, but Anna persuaded him to let go and move forward. Mom's spouse has been charming as usual, and Dad is considering a restraining order, which isn't very effective where we live. We had a great time together at home yesterday. There was karaoke, dancing, delicious food and beverages, games, and even a bouncy house, because why not? We adore them. Most people avoided discussing the wedding and the drama, but those who did so in an appropriate manner. Dad has already handed most of the alcohol he paid for as wedding gifts to his employees, allowing them to select one bottle each. He's also including bottles in his Christmas gift baskets this year. We are spending the holidays together and traveling. I told Sam about a new paint color for the house, but he simply does not want to live there anymore. He plans to rent it out. When I joked about eloping or not having a formal wedding to avoid turmoil, Joe told me unequivocally that if I chose to marry, I would have the largest party ever. He is still the finest. Thank you for all of your wonderful comments and messages, not the negative ones, awards, and interest in our situation. And to all the lovely Danielas out there. Sorry, but this is not about you. Holiday update, thank you for your continued interest. It's always enjoyable to log in and keep you updated on the situation. First, a few points. Hello, finest subreddit and YouTube, you've become part of our family lore. I read every single comment and message. Some people commented that I lacked a feminine figure in my life, although I had my grandmother, aunts, and others. Rita, my father's girlfriend, is not a mother figure, and I do not consider myself a bad woman because of it. When I got my period, my father had a complete plan in place. He told my brothers, and they each took their own method. It may sound awkward to me, but it was even more so for them. It's a funny story that makes me realize how much they care about me. Rita is great, and we adore her. She doesn't mind not being married to Dad, and he doesn't want to marry again, but if he did, we'd support him. Daniela's sisters attempted to stir up more trouble by accusing us of being nasty people, but after Anna's email, no one believed them. One of her sister's boyfriends even broke up with her because he didn't want to be associated with such a nasty family. I will not tell you where we live or what Dad does for a living, so please do not ask again. We have new phone numbers, social media identities, and are preparing a move. Joe and I also have some news. I keep a short note with fictitious names, and I type my posts in Word to prevent stumbling over my babbling. My father wants you all to know that your applications to the cult have been accepted. Anyway, I looked at the last update and couldn't believe it was only in early November. I mostly have positive news for you. Sam's doing great. He's taking time off work, and his supervisor is quite accommodating, telling him he may return when he's ready. He lives with Dad and has adequate savings, so he isn't concerned about money. He has taken up jogging and intends to compete in a marathon next year. Sam is gradually returning to his goofy self, and he is actively assisting Dad in renovating their home, primarily by painting rooms and creating murals. They're having a great time. Daniela wrote Sam a note, but he returned it. The house was listed as a rental, which Sam is fine with. Now for some more exciting news. I am engaged. It turns out that this has been planned for months, and when I joked about eloping, my future husband Matt panicked because he assumed I had worked out his plot. He had already spoken with Sam, who was aware of the proposition but did not want to make him uncomfortable. Joe, and my father. My father gave Matt a hard time when he asked for my hand, saying it was not his to give, but it was all in good fun. The proposal happened earlier this month, and I'm overjoyed, but not as much as my father, who insists on escorting me down the aisle, even if it's a civil wedding. While my news is fantastic, the other major announcement in the family is much better. Joe and Anna had been on the adoption list for a while, and a few weeks ago, they welcomed a baby girl. She is the most gorgeous, charming, and perfect baby ever. The adoption is final, as it usually is with infants in our nation. We knew they wanted to adopt, so when they told us the baby was finally theirs, there were many happy tears. Dad is in full grandpa mode, and despite some difficult circumstances this year, this is by far the nicest thing that has happened to our family. Unfortunately, our mother learned about the baby and requested to meet her. She has been served with our version of a restraining order, and we are determined to keep her from seeing the baby if at all possible. These are the negative news updates. Because of the new COVID version, we decided to stay at home for the holidays and hold a little Christmas celebration to welcome the baby and commemorate our engagement. Joe and his wife were unable to attend in person because the baby was too young, but they participated via Zoom. We also agreed to give Sam some stupid gifts, like Julia Roberts t-shirts and mugs, because he's the family's runaway bride. Joe and I are considering moving because we currently live in flats and would like to reside in a house. We're still a little shaken up by everything, and we know we have some emotional work to do, but we're focused on the good because the bad is in the minority. Whatever happens, I'll always be grateful for my family. I suppose this will be the final update, people. I realize the previous few have been mainly drama-free and perhaps not as thrilling, but we're hoping for less drama in our lives. I have no plans to erase anything, so the account will remain active in case something important happens. I wish you all a fantastic end of year and an amazing 2022. 2022 catch-up. Hello cult. I suppose it is time for a little update for those who are still interested. First, a few points. Yes, Spanish is our native tongue. Adoptions in our country are final and managed by the government, with open adoptions being rare. Joe and Anna have been wanting to have a family through adoption for quite some time. When I mentioned hummus before, it was like when they announced the Pope, LOL. We are now 35, 33, and 29. HB was supposed to stand for husband, but I adore how some of you understood it as huge bastard. Either works, honestly. Joe and I relocated as anticipated last year, and the year has been relatively uneventful. Daniela, on the other hand, surprised everyone by revealing that she is pregnant and that Sam is the father. The strange thing is, Sam cannot be the father because he was not even in the country when the baby was conceived. She had no way of knowing, however. Sam has offered to perform a paternity test several times, but she refuses. Legally, Sam is fine. He just feels awful for her baby. Daniela's father even attempted to sue Sam for emotional distress on behalf of both of his daughters, Daniela and the one whose boyfriend departed. But nothing came of it, thanks to Joe, who is a lawyer. I promise that this information is related to this catch-up. Sam chose not to take any action against Daniela's father since he has too many responsibilities and feels sorry for the family. Our mother still insists on meeting the baby, but it will never happen. She used one of her favorite tactics, pretending she has cancer. She contacted Joe and Anna via their work emails, pleading with them to help her meet the baby since she is critically ill and may require a transplant. This is the 6th time she has claimed to have cancer, but the truth is that she has had it 0 times. She enjoys the attention, sorrow, and drama that evil individuals bring forth in others. We never believed her, of course, but we didn't expect her to make a spectacle of herself by contacting Anna's mother via Facebook. Anna's mother is a gorgeous, devout Catholic lady, so Mother may have felt she was simple to manipulate. Mother told her about the cancer and how heartbroken she was that she would not be able to meet the baby. Anna's mother asked a few questions concerning the diagnosis and therapy, which made no sense as predicted. She then blocked her and shared the screenshots on her wall. It's similar to high school drama, but with more mature characters and witty comebacks. Other than that, the baby is absolutely happy and healthy. The only point of contention was what to call Rita, Dad's girlfriend. Our mother insisted Rita had no right to be called grandma. Joe and Anna spoke with Rita, and they all agreed that for all intents and purposes, she is Grandma Rita, and our mother can do nothing about it. Sam's doing great. He resigned his job and embarked on his own venture. He is still living in the family home, renting out the second house, and is seeing someone. She's polite, knows about the drama, bakes beautiful cakes, and knows how to knit. We like her, so we're optimistic and cautious. They're taking things slowly, but it's great to see him with someone like this. He also continued to paint rooms with Dad, and the results are painfully comical and stupid, like something you'd see in kindergarten. Please keep in mind that I adore them. Dad contracted COVID for the first time, and he became so afraid that he decided to rewrite his will. That's why Joe's profession is important. They wanted Sam and me to know about it after they were done. Everything Dad has is divided into 4 parts, 3 for his children and the remaining quarter for any grandkids. However, the family home will not be divided and will soon be transferred into my name. I was perplexed, but Joe and Dad reviewed it and decided I could have it, but only if Sam agreed. He did, and he's pleased with it. They didn't provide many explanations, other than that it was the correct thing to do. I believe it's partly because I'm the baby of the family, but that's fine. Joe acquired a house in the same neighborhood as our family home, so while we're not on the same block, we're close. Matt and I are no longer buying anything because I will be getting the house, which makes no sense. We relocated to the family home, which has been interesting yet enjoyable. Dad has started semi-retirement and is spending more time at Rita's, which benefits everyone. Sam, of course, can stay as long as he likes, but his murals must go, LOL. We're still engaged, happy, enjoying babysitting, and not pregnant. But we bought a kitten this spring. We're planning a wedding in December and couldn't have asked for a nicer year-ending celebration. So that is it, no drama, or at least not much drama. We're making progress and healing at a steady pace, which is exactly what we want. In case you're wondering why I'm posting now, one of us is a big admirer of the best of Redditor updates and reminded us of the posts. Anyway, hello from the cult, and we wish you everyone a fantastic final few months of 2022. 2023. Catch up, welcome to Reddit. First, as tradition dictates, we now have 2 cats. Sam moved in with his girlfriend, and we're so glad he's happy again. Dad has semi-moved in with Rita, which has been heartbreaking, but we remain cheerful and supportive of one another. Let us start with the negative news. It turns out that there was cancer on our mother's side, but not hers. One of her stepchildren got it and died earlier this year. She's milking it for all it's worth, and we're furious with her as always. While we sympathize with her loss, we will not change our no contact, NC policy with her and her entire family. Daniela had her kid, a very lovely boy who is clearly not Sam's, not that we ever doubted it. She tried to get him to acknowledge the baby and sign some paperwork, but he refused, and after the paternity test, there was nothing she could do. She lost it when she found out Sam was genuinely dating, and it only got worse when he moved in with his girlfriend. She still feels he is the one for her and is focused on that notion. She even attempted to cyberbully the GF, but this woman is composed of something different. Oh, and the father of her child is a married co-worker in his 50s, which is a whole other story, but not ours to handle. Sam moved in with his girlfriend, and he's still in therapy, as we all are, but he's doing much better. His girlfriend is highly well liked and adored by the family. She understands all that has transpired and has blended seamlessly. Sam is doing well in other areas too and has already completed his first marathon. The timing wasn't ideal, but he did it. Joe, Anna and the baby are all quite pleased. They are still on the list to adopt because they want to have at least one more child. I also wanted to explain that in my country, adoptions are not handled via agencies. You're put on a list after certain tests and interviews to determine whether you're a good candidate, and when a match is made, you get the baby. That baby is yours, and that's it. I understand that this may sound ambiguous, but keep in mind that we are not from the United States, and things differ from country to country. Aside from that, she is simply the best baby ever. I may be biased, but she truly is. Baby is also frequently told no, since we all believe she shouldn't be spoiled, or at least not too spoiled. She has a room at our house and a playpen at Sam's because they are still seeking for a permanent residence, and Sam and his girlfriend work from home. Dad is currently living with Rita. They are really pleased and have lately done a few of excursions. They like being grandparents and are very hands-on. They now claim to have 3 grandbabies, because the cats occasionally visit their home. It's hilarious because my father wasn't initially enthusiastic about getting cats, but now he takes photos of all his babies and prints the finest ones because that's what he's accustomed to. He shares progress reports with his pals, and they often wonder if he's talking about the cats or the baby because he's so enthusiastic about everything they do. In my perspective, he gets kids far too many toys, but apparently that is what grandfathers do, LOL. We were married in December. My father led me down the aisle, despite the fact that we did some unconventional things for our nation. Joe was Matt's best man, while Sam was my best mate. He insisted on being referred to as Julio throughout the wedding planning process. Our mother tried to attend the wedding. She even tried to persuade Anna's mother to help her, but Anna's mother said nothing. Some of mother's relatives thought it was undignified, not sure if that's the correct term, to have Rita there instead of my own mother, but I believe it's horrible to condone her actions. To each their own. We had a great time, and it was not stressful at all. Nobody fled, yelled out in grief, or attempted to cause a scene. We're rebuilding a portion of the house to make it more ours, and moving out of my childhood bedroom, but so far, everything is going well for the cult. Sam received fewer Julia Roberts-themed gifts this year, but he proudly wears his t-shirts all year long. Finally, Sam's girlfriend has approached us about proposing to him when the time is perfect. So who knows? Maybe this time he'll make it to the altar. Thank you for watching. If you haven't subscribed yet, please do so and hit the notification bell to stay updated with more shocking real-life stories happening around you.